There we go. There we are. There's always that delay. There's always that delay of, oh, am I live or not? I say it every time, but am I just talking to myself? Which would be nothing new, to be honest with you. Always talking to myself. But afternoon, everyone. Hope you're good. Hope your Saturday is treating you well. Hope you had a good Friday night. I will say apologies for pushing the stream back 15 minutes. I'm still feeling quite delicate after last night's festivities. So yes, it was. I woke up 1 hour, not even an hour ago, and I had to rush over here from the family event. Just around someone's house, and oh yeah, it's all a bit of a rush, but all good. I'm here. That's what matters. Getting old. Yeah, getting old. Can't handle it anymore. Can't handle the drinking. Don't have the metabolism. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're good, though. Welcome. Nightbot, just be wary, guys. Of course, just excessive caps and obviously usual profanity and things like that. Use excessive emojis. You can use them, but just don't overdo it because Nightbot is there to just try and keep everything within a nice, respectable experience for you all. But yes, so what does everyone think of this race, eh? What does everyone think of this sprint race? Only just over 12 minutes to go. And, well, 39% of you think Piastri's going to win. I put Verstappen up there, but I really don't think Verstappen's going to win this sprint race. He's 37%. I think he's going to clear Tsunoda and Alonso pretty quickly, but passing the McLarens and George Russell is another different kettle of fish entirely. But, yeah, Hamilton starting from the pit lane, Gasly, Colapinto and Stroll all starting from the pit lane. I mean, what they got to lose, they might as well use this as a practice session. Only the top 8 score points in the sprint race, if you remember. So 1st to 8th, and there is only a single point separating each position. So unlike the race on Sunday, where there is obviously larger gaps, especially from 1st to 2nd, where there's a 7-point gap, you will only have 1 point difference. So if there's one session that Max Verstappen is going to be poor at this weekend, you'd want it to be in the sprint race. But you can't afford to do that with Lando Norris having a 24-point gap lead. But yeah, let's see. Let's see if Piastri can cut into that gap heading into qualifying this afternoon and the race tomorrow. McLaren garage looked kind of upset yesterday. So that's a misconception. It was Lando's side of the garage. I did see that clip. People were thinking it was Piastri's side of the garage, but it was Lando's side. And people may go, oh, well, Lando's side of the garage should be applauding Piastri. I mean, there was little claps, but at the end of the day, they're in an inter-team battle, and each side of the garage is against one another. So they want their driver to do best, and that's why the applause was quite muted. Something that is very interesting, though, guys, is that, as we have mentioned, the tyres take a lot of lateral load here, and they take quite a pounding and take quite a lot of damage. Well, yesterday, confirmation that Max Verstappen did receive damage to the underside of his Red Bull in SQ3 when he took to the gravel in his first attempt at a lap through Turn 4 and Turn 5. So there you could see on TV, on images that were taken afterwards, that yes, the front of the floor, the front bib at the front ends, just under the nose cone, it was battered. So that's why his lap time was so poor yesterday. You can attribute it to that, but of course the mistake in itself was due to him and just that Red Bull and its characteristics around the medium to high speed corners, as it has been all season. But Pirelli are actually looking into the amount of damage that the gravel was causing to the tyres as well. Apparently they were quite deep. And yeah, maybe something that is looked at for this afternoon and the race tomorrow. The only thing that will keep us awake is the 2 stops are mandatory, otherwise cricket's no passing. Yeah, low expectations, David. Low expectations. That's the key to a happy life. Low expectations and you'll be pleasantly surprised. Norris is good under pressure. I'd be surprised if he doesn't make some big mistake today. I'd be surprised if he doesn't make. He's not good under pressure. I don't know. I think we've seen a different Lando Norris over the last kind of 8 races, 7, however many races it is since he lost the lead. Well, I say lost the lead. Like, had that DNF at Zandvoort. I think he's been a very different driver mentally, but this is definitely a test for him. Of course, there's a lot more to lose now, but yeah, he has another opportunity. The one thing you want to do is just not get caught up in anything, but he needs to nail his start, try and launch Russell if he can, and get into P2. But we know it's a very how ballsy is he going to be? That's my question. That's the question I have, because we've seen, especially if you end up being the outside car into turn one here, it's not a good position to be. You're best off backing out. So, yeah, it all depends on his start then. Norris made a blunder and a mistake last race. Which one was that? What was the last race? Vegas. Yeah, it was a mistake, but I think if you look at it, it was aggressive. If he had left the door open for Max to send it down the inside there, just as many people, if not more, would be going, same old Norris. Same old Norris. Just leaving the door open for Max. He never learns. When is he going to learn? And I thought he did the right thing. And I think it was I think it just shows the confidence that he's got, to be fair, because he could have left the door open for Max and just worried about not having contact. But he didn't. He risked it to go and cover off his position. Yeah, he didn't execute it well in the end because he missed his braking marker, was on the dirty side of the track, but I respect him for doing that. Mike, do I know if those drivers starting from the pits can change, can keep setup until race start? Yes, they can. So they can make setup changes all the way. Yeah, actually, that's a fair point. I don't know when they have to announce that they've made the changes. So, that's a very good question. That's something I don't really know. Can they make those significant changes all the way up until literally the formation lap? I think they can. Because that's the penalty, starting from the pit lane. I'm not sure if you have to announce it. Yeah, there's got to be a cut-off point at some. There's got to be a cut-off point. I'll find that out. That's something I didn't know. Yeah, I'll have to find that out. When the cut-off point is. Evening, Chris. Good to see you. Just having pasta for your lunch. Oof. I haven't had really anything to eat today, guys. As I said, I'm still feeling fragile. It's one of those where if I feel like I eat something, it might not stay down. Yeah, you know that feeling. You know that feeling. But I am feeling better, though. Have a crazy stretch suspicion that what if Yuki purposely crashes into Alonso so as to let Max pass? Let's be real. If there's a conspiracy theory, why would Yuki crash into Alonso? If he's going to crash into anyone, it'd be crash into a McLaren, particularly Lando Norris. If you're going to get full tin, full hat. Stay healthy. I am healthy, don't worry. Does it really, Sid? Fair enough. Max would deliver a masterclass because his teammate is ahead in that embarrassment. What do I think about RB today? Red Bull. So Max did. It was confirmed that Max did have damage through that gravel trap. From that trip through the gravel trap yesterday in SQ3 through turn 4. So that did significantly give him some damage. Pirelli have also stated as well that they are seeing quite deep damage. The gravel is travelling quite deep into the carcass itself. And that can, obviously, with drivers who stayed out on the same set of tyres yesterday, which Max did, that also will affect the same. That will also affect the performance of those tyres. So really, Max was definitely down on overall performance yesterday from the damage to his car and to damage to those tyres. So Yuki, while it was a great lap, Max is quicker. We know that. Little sips of cold Coca-Cola always help you big time on that feeling. I feel good now. I just needed to. I had a massive headache this morning. Seems to have gone, thankfully. A few painkillers, all good. Do I think any DRS trains will happen today? Well, we're about to find out. I've got concerns about the length of the DRS. Everyone's starting on the medium compound tyre. Shock horror. Not at all. Medium compound tyre. No one's going to start on the soft air. No one's going to use the hard compound tyre because that's the tyre for the race. But yeah, I have concerns that the DRS is not going to be long enough. And I do hope that if today it is identified that the DRS was not effective, then it needs to be lengthened. And the main reason for it is purely because of the dirty air. Like out of turn 16, out of turn 15 and turn 16, it's just tricky to stay close to the car ahead. And we have got drivers on equal tyres here, equal age, other than Hamilton, Gasly and Colapinto, really. And Norris and Piastri have had one lap less. But, oh, no, hang on. Sorry, what? 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 Hards? Did the standings just have a blip? Or is that genuinely hard compound tyres for Norris, Alonso, Tsunoda, Verstappen? Okay. Wow. I did not expect that. I thought everyone was just... What? So, we have a mix-up here. Oh, that makes things interesting. That makes things interesting because will the mediums last? Will the mediums last? Or will they be on the hards? Oh, let's find out. Let's find out. Waiting for them to show the TV coverage. At the moment, they're showing the intro of the drivers. But, it might be just a... I don't know. They haven't actually used 2 sets, but it may just be that there's something wrong with the data. They all assumed everyone was on the mediums, but actually they weren't. They played me. I know. Yeah, well, I stream the live. I haven't got direct feed. I've got live stream. So my TV coverage is always a little bit behind, but that's fine. The data and the information here is always ahead. Mediums were going off after 12, 15 laps yesterday, weren't they? Maybe. Yeah, probably. I think the hards are definitely a reasonable decision here, especially if Lando's... I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Is that do you want to use the hards and lose the track position? I mean, this could bode well for Norris. Could bode well for Verstappen on the hards. Piastri. But track position, we do know... Track position is key here. We do know that. We do know. But it's not completely impossible to overtake. If your tyres start to fall off and you lose that front grip through the last sector, you are going to get caught and overtaken by those on fresher tyres behind. So, who do you think will be the last using DRS in Abu Dhabi? Probably one of the Alpines. What position do I think Max will finish? I think he'll finish... Now I'm looking at the mediums. I think he's going to finish 3rd. I think Russell's going to fall back. Depending who leads into the first corner, I think either Piastri or Russell will fall back. The McLaren should be better on its tyres than Russell, than the Mercedes. Verstappen's going to clear Tsunoda easy. That'll be team orders. Alonso in the Aston Martin, as great as the qualifying that is, doesn't have the performance of the Red Bull of Max. And, yeah, I think he'll finish in top 3. I think our championship top 3, which is Norris, Piastri, Verstappen, will finish in the top 3. In which order, I'm not entirely sure. Not entirely sure, but... Close the poll. I'll close the poll, yeah. Surprised many of you think Max Verstappen starting from 6th is going to win the sprint race. Well, it's only 19 laps. There's only 19 laps. I think Piastri undoubtedly is favourite, but those tyre selections have made me not concerned, but raised an eyebrow a bit. They have raised an eyebrow. They're still waiting to see the actual tyre blankets removed. He had floor damage yesterday, yeah, but they would have been able to have fixed it. They would have been able to have fixed it. Right, here we go. Drivers making their way to the end of the pit lane. Formation lap is underway. Here we go, guys. Here we go. So, yes, so confirmation that... Confirmation... Hang on. No. So hang on. No, this is wrong. This is wrong, the standings. So, who's on the hards? Who's on the mediums? No, they are on the mediums. They are actually all on the mediums. So, not on the hards. They are using medium compound tyres. So, just watching Lando when he went through the TV coverage. So, yeah, everyone's on the yellows. Everyone's on the yellow wall tyres, which is the medium compound tyres, guys. So, ignore the data that is being displayed. That, no doubt, will fix itself maybe once the race gets underway. But it is a sprint race. We don't expect any pit stops here, of course. 19 laps to go in this race. We are on the formation lap. Let's have a run-through of your sprint race grid today, shall we? For the Qatar Sprint, it is Oscar Piastri on pole position. His first time on pole in 8 races. George Russell in P2, splitting those McLarens and mixing it up here. He has gone well in the past at Qatar. Lando Norris, our championship leader, starts P3 with Fernando Alonso alongside him. A brilliant qualifying from Fernando Alonso, the best all season. Yuki Tsunoda, the first time he's ever out-qualified Max Verstappen since he joined the Red Bull. The first time in 14 months that Max Verstappen has been out-qualified by his teammate. Max, as we've touched upon, picked up damage from an excursion to the gravel trap and qualified P6 yesterday. He has a lot of work to do today to keep his championship hopes alive. Kimi Antonelli is in P7 with Carlos Sainz in 8th. Charles Leclerc in 9th for a terrible day for Ferrari. Alex Albon in P10, rounding off a double Williams top 10. Isaac Hadjar is in P11, Ollie Behrman is in 12th, Bortoletto 13th, Hulkenberg 14th, Ocon 15th, Lawson 16th, Lance Stroll 17th, Hamilton in 18th, starting from the pit lane as is Lance Stroll. Gasly and Colapinto will all be starting from the pit lane. That is your grid for this Qatar GP sprint race. We are moments away from getting underway. We know how torturous it can be, how close it can be, and incident-packed it can be at the start of this race, particularly through turn 1 and turn 2. Will we see a repeat of that today? Oscar Piastri is going for 3 in a row sprint race wins here at Qatar. He won his first ever form of racing in F1 here a few years ago in the sprint race, and of course last year Lando Norris famously moved over to the side out of the last corner to allow his teammate back past. So here we go, guys, here we go. Woo! Everyone is on the mediums. Please ignore the live timing data at the moment. It will no doubt sort itself out once this race gets underway. But everyone is on the medium compound tyre. So it is pretty much level playing field for this 19-lap sprint race. Drivers making their way at the back of the grid there. Liam Lawson is the last driver to be lining up on the grid itself as we have 4 starting from the pit lane. Stroll, Hamilton, Gasly and Colapinto. Here we go. Here we go. Do I need to press that again? I think I need to press that again. Long delay here at the start, but we are finally underway. Green light, and away we go at the Qatar Grand Prix sprint race. Oscar Piastri has a really good start and makes his way down into the first corner, but will he lead out of turn 1? Where is Lando Norris? Has he been able to maintain his position? And Yuki Tsunoda is already ahead of Fernando Alonso. What a great start from Yuki Tsunoda. Max Verstappen stays where he is in P6, and no, Max also gets past Fernando Alonso. Great start from both the Red Bull drivers, and Yuki Tsunoda could play a big part today in this sprint race. Charles Leclerc loses 3 positions and is down into P12 with Hulkenberg down 2 positions as well, as Verstappen is already past Yuki Tsunoda. So easy peasy for Max Verstappen. In 5 corners he is already up 2 positions into P4, and there we go. Yuki doing a great job for Red Bull, and for Max Verstappen he's already on the back of Lando Norris. Isaac Hadjar is up 2 places into P9, and George Russell is chasing down Oscar Piastri as Yuki Tsunoda had a great move there, and Yuki just left the door wide open for Max Verstappen while allowing blocking almost Fernando Alonso there, as Isaac Hadjar actually went for a very good move round the outside of Carlos Sainz, but Sainz covered it off. So it is Oscar Piastri leading by 1.2 seconds ahead of George Russell with Lando Norris in P3, a further 1 second behind. You can see the DRS there. It'll be activated next time around, and we only have 1 DRS zone here, which is down the start-finish straight. So as we cross the start line, we complete the first lap of this sprint race. It is Oscar Piastri leading from George Russell. Lando Norris is P3. Max Verstappen is P4, in the slipstream of Lando Norris. Yuki Tsunoda is in P5 ahead of Fernando Alonso, who is down 2 places into P6. Kimi Antonelli is in P7 with Carlos Sainz in P8. Isaac Hadjar is 9th. Alex Albon is in P10 with Gabriel Bortoleto is in 11th. Ollie Bearman is P12. Charles Leclerc is down 4 places now into P13. I wonder if he's picked up some damage there from some contact. We'll see if we can get an understanding of Charles Leclerc's situation here. But Ferrari's weekend going from bad to worse. Liam Lawson is up 2 places into P14. Ocon is 15th. Hulkenberg is down 2 places in 16th. And Stroll, Hamilton, Gasly and Colapinto are where they are when they exited the pit lane. So really closest out there on track right now is Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. This is where our eyes are at. Lando Norris would be gaining 6 points right now, and Oscar Piastri would be gaining 2 on him. Remember, only a top 8 score points here in the sprint race, with single points separating each top 8 positions, so not the big gains that you'll see as Fernando Alonso is really under attack from Kimi Antonelli there into turn 10. As Carlos Sainz has been overtaken by Isaac Hadjar. No, he hasn't. Sorry, that is just the track map being slightly little delayed there. As Carlos Sainz is definitely under attack, though, from Isaac Hadjar. Hadjar really chomping at the bit to try and get into that last point scoring position there in P8. But let's keep it back. Let's move back to the battle at the front between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. George Russell does not have the DRS on Oscar Piastri. And importantly, Norris does not have the DRS on George Russell either. So Norris will potentially be under attack here from Max Verstappen. With the first use of DRS, we can see that gap is coming down. A purple first sector, a purple last sector. Will Max go for the move, or is he not close enough? No, he's not just quite close enough there. Really needs to be under half a second, you believe, out of turn 16 to have an opportunity. And remember, of course, the power is all to the inside line here for the car. Remember, the head at the apex rule, but Max Verstappen chomping at the bit to try and get ahead and gain even a solitary single point over Lando Norris could be so important in the next couple of races, of course, and the overall grandstanding of the championship. So Piastri would be gaining 2 points on Lando Norris, and Max Verstappen at the moment would be losing 1 point on Lando and be losing a couple of points on Oscar Piastri as well, 3 points on Oscar Piastri. But George Russell in the middle of these two McLarens right now, and Norris would love to see the back of George Russell at least get a bit closer. Max did show his nose into turn 1, but Lando Norris saw it coming and said, you ain't getting me from that far back. Of course, not a lot, really no real hard braking zones here at the Qatar circuit. Turn 1 is still quite a sweeping corner, medium speed corner, so no hard braking zones like we have seen at previous circuits where the Red Bull has definitely excelled at, and you can shove your nose inside. Kimi Antonelli still being held up by Fernando Alonso, but let's see, Max Verstappen's going to have another attempt here. So he is 6 attempts out of the last corner. He's going to have DRS open, but Lando Norris got DRS, importantly, on George Russell ahead of him. So really important there for Lando Norris's chances to defend off Max Verstappen. And you can see Max Verstappen's gains were only around 3 attempts, 2.5 attempts there on Lando Norris, with Norris having the DRS. But you can see, look at him, the 2 fastest men out on track, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen in P3 and P4. 2:25 flats, Max Verstappen a 25.059 compared to Norris's 25.098, and Max is just setting fastest first sectors after all. But how long will his medium compound tyres be able to last here? How long can he put up this charge and sustain this charge on Lando Norris? 16 laps remaining of this sprint race. Oscar Piastri seems to be clean air is king, as we know, in this set of regulations. And Oscar Piastri, for the first time in 8 races, finds himself at the front of the F1 grid, and he is relishing in it. 1.5 seconds ahead of George Russell, and just putting out a consistent gap over the Mercedes driver. Lando Norris not quite close enough as we make our way through turn 15. Can Lando get within the DRS? He can, importantly, just get within the DRS through that through the DRS detection zone. And he will have DRS as they make their way down the start-finish straight. So here we go again. Will Max Verstappen lost a bit of time there? He's not as close as he was the last time out, and he is 7 tenths back. So he's lost about a tenth from the previous couple of laps on the exit through turn 16. So is Max Verstappen starting to already feel the early stages of these medium compound tyres just fall away from him? We do think, of course, that the McLaren is the superior car here this weekend. But, of course, when there is a lot on the line, pressure matters massively. Max Verstappen has been able to deal with it. And, well, you have to say, really, Lando Norris, for the most part, has been dealing with it in the past, but we'll see. Max Verstappen is complaining about, a bit of understeer. That is the dirty air, Max Verstappen, that he is finding himself in. By the way, great job by Yuki Tsunoda, who is comfortably in P5. He's 1.4 seconds behind Max Verstappen, and he's actually lapping at the same pace. So great performance by Yuki Tsunoda, and it's really kind of a shame that this is coming at the end of the season and not sooner. But who knows what type of car he's actually got and he's driving here this weekend. Maybe it is the same as Max's, which he hasn't had throughout the majority of this season. So further down the grid for the point scoring positions, Fernando Alonso, who's down 2 places, finds himself in P6, and he is being chased down by Kimi Antonelli, who has just fallen away off of the back of Fernando Alonso. Not as close as he was in the early stages. Fernando Alonso seems to have sustained that challenge from Kimi, who was on a good run of form himself. Carlos Sainz is in P8 and is still being chased down by Isaac Hadjar, but they're in a bit of a DRS train with Alex Albon in P10. He's all aboard the Albon train, really, as he has drivers within the DRS all the way back down to P17 with Lance Stroll. Lewis Hamilton update in P18 as Max Verstappen not close enough again down into turn 1, half a second back. As he did a 25.0 that time around, and Norris just did a 24.9. So let's see if Max will be able to stay on the back of the McLaren, or is this already the race fizzling out with only 5 laps completed on the 6th lap of this 19-lap sprint race. But Lewis Hamilton update at the back of the grid. Well, he has started from the pit lane today, no doubt, to make some setup changes. This is a glorified practice session for Stroll, Hamilton, Gasly and Colapinto. And, well, he has not made up any ground whatsoever and is actually falling off the back of Lance Stroll. Charles Leclerc is down 4 places. I haven't seen the start of the race back to see how he lost 4 positions. But yeah, not a great start for Ferrari. And this weekend is looking terrible for them. There is no mandatory pit stop for the sprint race. Nope, it is entirely up to you if you want to use it or not. But it's most likely it is never used. And there we go. Max Verstappen is now lost the DRS of Lando Norris. He is 1 second back. Will he be able to regain it when they make their way through the DRS detection zone? That pink dot on your screen there on the exit of turn 15. And I think he might just be able to, and he has done. So Max Verstappen did just regain the DRS there through after the exit of turn 15, but he is nearly a full second behind Lando, just losing time now gradually as this race progresses. You can see Lando Norris did a 25.0. George Russell and Piastri have stepped up their game, as Piastri has done a 24.6, Russell done a 24.8, Lando a 25.0. So I suspect that is Lando Norris just maybe managing a little bit here at this stage of the sprint race and ensuring that maybe he goes on the attack at the end, not ensuring that he doesn't stay too close to George and Oscar. Maybe Oscar and Russell are just going and pushing a bit too hard at this stage. And Lando, who is a couple of attempts slower than both, well, he's 4 attempts slower than Piastri last time around, and he was a couple of attempts slower than George Russell. Is he just biding his time, looking after those tyres, as we see so often in the first stint of a race? You need to drop back to around 1.52 seconds to look after them, keep them out of that dirty air. You're still within the dirty air, but it helps soften the blow, as Max Verstappen is 1.1 seconds behind Norris now, nearly 1.2. It's going to be a tall order for him to regain the DRS this time around. And, well, we could see that medium compound tyre struggle even at the end of this race. Remember, there is a 25-lap limit for these tyres here this weekend. So on Sunday, we will see a mandatory 2-stop race with no single tyre be able to do more than 2... Hang on. As Verstappen's complaining about the radio, is really crackly. So he's not happy as we come round for the 8th time across the start-finish line, and Max Verstappen, for the first time in this sprint race, does not have DRS on Lando Norris and is 1.4 seconds behind the championship leader. So this is the stage of the race now where there a conscious decision, even in this sprint race, which we were just touching upon, to sit back, look after those tyres, and then go on the attack at the end. Lando Norris did a 25.189, Russell did a 24.9, Piastri did a 24.8. But the benefit of Oscar Piastri, though, is that he can push a bit harder on his tyres because he has clean air. He doesn't have to back off for dirty air. Whereas Lando Norris and those behind George Russell, they all have to contend with that. So Oscar Piastri did have a bit of a slow first sector there compared to George Russell. George Russell's first sector there was very quick, at 31.098, the fastest we have seen, compared to Piastri's 31.2. But he is still 1.7 seconds behind. There's no point for Hamilton to push hard. It's just a sprint, and he's too far from the top 8. Agreed. Yeah, it's for a lot of these drivers, if they are outside of the top 10, it is kind of really irrelevant for them. Of course, they'll get racy if the opportunity presents it to them, because they are racing drivers, and that's what they are born to do. But yeah, it's more so a glorified practice session because drivers and teams are going to be able to change their setups between now and the qualifying session later on this afternoon. So Piastri leads from George Russell by 1.8 seconds, a 24.7 for Piastri and a 24.8 from George Russell. Lando Norris is 1.9 seconds behind. He just did the fastest last sector out of anyone with a 25.069. Max Verstappen was half a second slower than Lawrence that time, as Kimi Antonelli is now on the attack of Fernando Alonso and got very close there down into the entry of turn 1. We could maybe see an overtake here from Kimi Antonelli on Fernando Alonso and get himself into the top 6. Yuki Tsunoda faring very well. Tsunoda update, but yes, Max Verstappen going back to him. He's 2 seconds behind Lando Norris. Lando Norris is 2.1 seconds in turn behind George Russell, but Yuki Tsunoda is staying very nicely between Max. A couple of tenths slower last time around than his teammate, but he's 1.7 seconds behind, and Yuki is comfortably ahead of Fernando Alonso, who is 2 seconds further back. So a good solid start to this weekend for Yuki Tsunoda, who is rumoured to unfortunately be losing his Red Bull seat for next season with an announcement due next week. So yeah, well, if he's going to try and convince anyone at the end of this season to give him an opportunity, whether it be a reserve drive or even just a seat in the future, ending this season on a high would put him in some good stead. But Kimi Antonelli, let's stay on board with Kimi Antonelli as the front 5. Not really too much to discuss there right now. 10th lap we are on of this 19-lap race. We are halfway through, and Kimi Antonelli he doesn't have the DRS. He has the DRS, but he lost a lot of time there, Kimi Antonelli, through the last couple of corners. That last corner is really treacherous for a lot of drivers. They could be very close all the way through until they get to that last corner. There is gravel on the exit of turn 16, and we know as well how dangerous really that gravel is. Max Verstappen picking up severe damage on the underside of his car yesterday when it came to that Q3 session, which is why he started down in 6th place. 2.4 seconds is the gap. 2.5 seconds is the gap now from Max to Lando Norris, and yeah, we're starting to see here really at this stage where the tyres starting to struggle. And it's really intriguing that the mediums are starting to struggle even 10 laps into this race. This could bode very well for the race on Sunday with multiple pit stops mandated, but with tyre management as well and some tyre offsets potentially on the cards, which we know provides us good racing and is what is required in F1 these days. But Oscar Piastri leads by 2 seconds over George Russell, and Lando Norris is 2.2 seconds back from George. We still have 9 laps remaining here of this race when they cross the start-finish line. And who will be able to look after their tyres most? Lando Norris is 2 seconds back, the other 24.996. We're going to start to see Lando Norris did the fastest sector out of anyone the last 2 laps time around. Can he make it 3 times in a row with the fastest last sector? He can. So Lando Norris starting to lean on his tyres a bit more in that last sector, but he's losing quite a bit in the first sector. You can see a 31.434 for Lando in the first sector compared to George Russell's 31.1. But of course, in the whole grandstanding of the championship, how does it look? Well, Lando Norris will be gaining 6 points here, but Oscar Piastri would be on 8. He'd be gaining 8 points and gaining 2 points on his championship rival and teammate. He would bring that deficit down from 24 points to 22 points. But of course, there is still more points on offer tomorrow, as Yuki Tsunoda gets a black and white flag for track limits. Come on, Yuki, keep it within track limits. You can do it, buddy. Fernando Alonso just caught up to him a little bit there with that off track by the looks of it, 1.8 seconds. Fernando Alonso still doing a great job in holding off Kimi Antonelli. 25.460 was a good lap for Kimi Antonelli last time around. As Liam Lawson has just got past Charles Leclerc. What is happening with Charles Leclerc? He is down 5 places into P14, as Russell is stating on the radio, the engineer to George Russell said, starting to see, that's why Charles Leclerc, he got onto the gravel, and Liam Lawson with a brilliant overtake. Oh, Charles, you naughty, naughty boy. Oh, Charles. Naughty, naughty. I wonder if that'll be investigated. Charles Leclerc just ran Liam Lawson off track. Charles Leclerc struggling out there, took to the gravel. Maybe he's got severe damage to the underside of that car, just like Max Verstappen did yesterday. And, well, Liam Lawson went for a great move around the outside. He had his car sufficiently alongside as well, and Charles just basically drove him off the track and through the gravel. Liam Lawson has held onto the position, though, but how long will he hold onto the position? Because Charles Leclerc was coming straight back at him down into turn 1. And Charles Leclerc, not happy with Liam Lawson holding onto that position, has given it, retaken it back. I'd wonder how the stewards will look at that whole sequence of events. Of course, it doesn't really matter because they are fighting for nothing out there. But they are still racing drivers. Only the top 8 can score points. Charles Leclerc regains that position back. But not a good day at the office for Charles Leclerc, who's down 4 positions. Still not entirely sure why that was. Yeah. Max doesn't like sprints. No, he doesn't. He did say that if he could change anything about F1, it'd be removing sprint races, less street circuits, and having 2 race weekends. Only removing Friday sessions altogether. So watching the replay of what happened with Charles Leclerc. So watching the replay of Charles Leclerc, it just went wide, went into the gravel. He lost almost a second there, and Liam Lawson went for a great move around the outside. So, let's have a look, shall we? We are on the 13th lap of this race. We have 7 remaining. And, well, it looks like that maybe Lando Norris is starting to eat into the gap of George Russell. Fastest last sector last time around. Yuki Tsunoda noted for track limits again. So Yuki Tsunoda is probably going to get a 5-second time penalty for track limits. He was already on a black and white flag. But Lando Norris is 1.8 seconds back to George Russell. 24.8, the fastest lap of his race last time around. And let's see if Lando will be able to catch George Russell in the closing stages of this sprint race. 1.7 seconds there. He just gained a 10th on George out of the exit of turn 6 alone. Loses a bit through turn 7 though, and there we go. Unfortunately for Yuki, Unfortunately for Yuki, a 5-second time penalty for track limits. And, well, he is currently in P5. He is 2.5 seconds ahead of Kimi Antonelli, who has dispatched Fernando Alonso finally. That would mean that Yuki, I think, if my calculations are correct, just finishing in the points in P8, which is a shame. But still, Fernando Alonso did get overtaken by Kimi because Fernando went through the gravel on the exit of turn 16. So, here we go. Track surface slippery through turn 15 and 16. Yet that is because of the gravel that has been displaced out on track by Fernando Alonso. And I wonder how much damage he has picked up through that gravel trip. Lando Norris, 24.954 last time out. Fastest last sector for him. And that gap is now 1.7 seconds. So, George Russell will be fully aware, as his engineer has told him, there is more degradation being seen on drivers out there on circuit. We have 6 laps remaining. Max Verstappen is in P4. He is 3.5 seconds behind Lando Norris. So Lando in the grandstanding of this championship, finishing P3 and losing 2 points to his teammate is not the end of the world, as Lance Stroll is into the pit lane. We're seeing a pit stop here in the sprint race, unless this is an early retirement for Lance Stroll. But Lando Norris, you can see through turn 6, Wow, that interval through turn 6 alone, Lando Norris just gained 2 tenths almost on George Russell. So much more commitment and so much more traction that Lando has out of that slow corner of turn 6, the slowest corner on this circuit compared to that of George. And that gap is 1.6 seconds. Will he be able to stay close? Under 1.6 seconds now through turn 12, through the second sector. Gains 2 tenths in that middle sector alone, as we just saw through the interval. And that was basically in one corner. So George Russell, who is starting to lose ground on Oscar Piastri, you can see 2.2 seconds is the distance between him and Oscar Piastri, and what that will do is means that the slipstream will be less effective. So watching Yuki Tsunoda, and Yuki Tsunoda's just confirmation there of he's off track. Where did he go off track, Yuki Tsunoda? Just watching it. Oh, Yuki, Yuki, why did you go off track there? That's so ridiculous, Yuki. As much as I'm praising you here, that was ridiculous how you've gone off track there. He's opened up the corner. He's tried to open up the corner of turn 10, and he's basically just gone off track. Ridiculous. It wasn't like it was on the exit of the corner. It's a shame there. That's a mistake. That's a poor driver error. Poor driver error, because it's a great drive from him today. A great qualifying, and it's now been soured by track limits. But anywho, back to Lando Norris at the front. We have 5 laps remaining in this sprint race. 19 laps overall, and Lando Norris is trying to close down the gap on George Russell. 2.3 seconds is the gap from Oscar Piastri, who has led from the start of this race. He is looking to make it 3 for 3 in a row. Sprint race wins here at Qatar. He does like this circuit, and I tell you what, it bodes well for you Oscar Piastri fans heading into qualifying later on this afternoon and the race tomorrow to extend this championship to Abu Dhabi. Lando Norris, 1.6 seconds to George Russell. Just lost a bit of time there this time around. George Russell's lap time was a 25.1 last lap, but it looks like it's going to be a bigger improvement this time, as Lando Norris's first sector was 2 tenths slower than George Russell's, properly getting into the window of that dirty air displacement. As we move further down the grid, a bit stagnant at the moment with the top 8, not even within DRS of one another. Actually, you have to go all the way down to P12 of Ollie Bearman for someone to be within the DRS of another car. Charles Leclerc is 1.6 seconds behind Ollie Bearman and gaining on them as Lance Stroll, on a set of used soft compound tyres, sits the fastest first sector of the race in P20. No doubt some data gathering for Lance Stroll and the Aston Martin team, as he was one of 4 drivers starting from the pit lane. So yes, no drivers at all, very few drivers at all in the DRS. Why is Max losing timing? It's because the tyres are starting to struggle with degradation. Also in the sprint race, there becomes a point where it's probably not worth putting too much more stress on your car. You solidify your position, you take it easy, but you leave yourself in a position where you can still capitalise on something happening out up front. But Max Verstappen, as we predicted here this weekend, I did predict it. I did think that the Red Bull medium to high speed corners is its weakness. It's what we've seen throughout this year. We have seen the Red Bull improve at these type of circuits, but not necessarily in comparison to the McLaren. The McLaren is still much, much better. George Russell is faring quite nicely here as well. The Mercedes is maybe doing better than I expected, but George has got his eye in here at the Qatar circuit, as he has done in the past. Started on the front row, remember, last year. Actually started from pole for an impeding penalty, dished out a one-place grid penalty for Max Verstappen. So this is a good circuit for George Russell, but we are starting to see the degradation even in... This is basically kind of the first stint. What we're watching right now is probably the first stint on Sunday, unless they decide to start on the hard compound tyre. So, yeah, maybe the first stint on Sunday isn't going to be the most exciting thing in the world, but Kimi Antonelli's got black and white flag for track limits now. But this is the weakness of really the Red Bull. But Max is still in it. Max is still in it, so... And that's what you need to do, as he has been throughout the whole of this season, is stay in it. 67,000 subs. Thank you, guys. Just see that milestone reach, so big thank you. Please continue to hit the like and subscribe button. Nearly 10,000 of you here for this sprint race as we are approaching the closing stages. 3 laps remaining. We'll have 2 laps remaining when they cross the start-finish line. It is Oscar Piastri leading by 2.3 seconds from George Russell. Lando Norris is 1.7 seconds behind. He did put on a bit of a charge on George, but he hasn't been able to really close that gap any further after the last few laps. And you can really see there, while Norris, when you look at the intervals, while you can see that Norris gains a lot of time through turn 6, he loses quite a lot through turn 10. And I think Norris might have just dipped into the gravel there, as he's lost a lot of time through the exit of turn 10. Watching the TV coverage now to see exactly if that is the case as to what he did. And I think that is what Norris just did there on the exit of turn 10. When you see the interval on the exit of a corner really kind of shoot out quite a fair distance, it's because they've dipped a wheel in the gravel, which has been causing a bit of carnage here this weekend at Qatar. So 1.8 seconds, 2 seconds here. Look, you can see there, 2 seconds is the gap between Norris and Russell there. And he's lost a bit of time. And he's lost a bit of time, importantly, to Verstappen. Verstappen did a 24.5 last time out, and Norris did a 24.8. Oscar Piastri in that clean air, though. Clean air is king. That is the key here for the Qatar circuit. And that is what we'll see drivers try and find tomorrow in the main race, is try and find pockets of clean air, do the undercuts. But, of course, the 25 tyre lap limit here that we have this weekend does show that the degradation on these tyres is quite high. Safety car needed. Yeah, safety car needed. If I need to drop this circuit, it's a follow me circuit. Look, Qatar has a lot of money. They've got a lot of money behind them. They could surely make a better purpose-built circuit. It's designed for motorbikes, this circuit. It was never designed for F1. So I'm sure they can build one that is a lot better. I have no concerns about coming to Qatar, but look, they should be able to build something that's a lot more suitable for F1. As we are approaching the last lap of this sprint race, as Colapinto and Gasly come out of the pit lane, Oscar Piastri has led from start to finish, it seems here. Well, we still have one more lap remaining, as Oscar Piastri has 16 corners to contend with and navigates to win his first race in over 8 races. The last time he won a race was back in Zandvoort. And, well, what a confidence builder this will be for Oscar Piastri in the closing stages of this season. He's going to get one up over his teammate, his championship rival, who has been chipping away at his lead and extended his own championship lead over the Australian, as Oscar Piastri, for the giggles, sets a fastest first sector. Is he going to set a fastest lap of the race and go purple just to stamp down his authority here this weekend? Maybe he will. But Oscar Piastri is going to win this race. He's got 3.6 seconds, 3.7 seconds over George Russell. And Lando Norris is back in P3 where he started. Max Verstappen is in P4. He is up 2 places, but we've just seen that Red Bull unable to sustain a challenge and stay onto the back of the McLaren of Lando Norris. And eventually, those tyres have started to fall off as Yuki Tsunoda is in P5, but will have a 5-second time penalty. Looks like, though, he will still only drop 1 position. But as we approach the last corner, Oscar Piastri comes round turn 16 and the Australian wins his first race since Zandvoort. Championship back on. 2 points gained on Lando Norris as he comes across the line in P3 behind George Russell in P2. Max Verstappen gains 2 places as he did on the first lap and finishes P4. He loses ground in the overall championship standings. We'll have a look at those in a second. Kimi Antonelli is promoted to P5 due to Yuki Tsunoda receiving a 5-second time penalty for track limits violations there, but still finishes P6, so that's good going for Yuki Tsunoda and for his aspirations here this weekend. Fernando Alonso finishes in P7. Carlos Sainz rounds off the last point scoring position in P8. Hadjar just fell a bit short there and couldn't get past the Williams driver. Alex Albon finishes in P10. Bortolesso is up 2 places in P11. Behrman in P12. Leclerc, arguably the biggest loser here today, losing 4 places, the most out of anyone. Got into a tussle with Liam Lawson. He finishes P13. Liam Lawson up 2 places in 14th. Ocon 15th. Hulkenberg 16th. Hamilton 17th after starting from the pit lane. Gasly 18th after starting from the pit lane. 19th Stroll and Colapinto is in 20th. They both started from the pit lane. And there we go. That is your sprint race. Not the most exciting thing in the world. Not going to lie to you. Have low expectations, guys. As I said, low expectations. Hit the like and subscribe button, guys. By the way, let's get this stream to over 1,000 likes with over 7,000 of you here still in the stream. Here are your championship standings. What has that done to the overall championship? Well, Lando Norris gained 6 points there, but he lost 2 to Oscar Piastri. 22 points is the gap to Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri now. 396 to 374. Max Verstappen loses 3 points. So, importantly for Max Verstappen is that he is outside now. He is outside of... he lost 1 point. Sorry, lost 3 points to Piastri, but lost 1 point to Lando Norris. So, he is on 25 points difference to Lando Norris. That is 1 DNF, of course, difference. So, not quite... Still mathematically within it. Of course, more points on offer tomorrow. So, there we go. But a very, very controlled drive from Oscar Piastri. The Piastri of old. It's what we've seen in the past from Oscar Piastri. Could he be coming back to form when it matters? But of course, there is still a big deficit to be had. Lando Norris can still finish P3 every single race and still win this championship. So, yes, that is where we find ourselves in a moment. Kimi Antonelli noted for track limits violations again. Noted... That's interesting. But yes, what has that done to the constructors? Actually, I didn't even pay attention to the constructors. Not that I really care, because who cares about P2 and the constructors? Mercedes gained 11 points there, so they extend their lead over Red Bull, who only gained 8. Ferrari, nil points. Are Ferrari tanking on purpose? What do you reckon, guys? What do you reckon? Do you think Ferrari are just trying to go for more wind tunnel time? Do you think they've jacked it in? Oh, 5-second time penalty for Kimi Antonelli. Yuki fans. Yuki fans. He's been promoted back up into P5 because Kimi Antonelli has cancelled out the 5-second advantage that he gained on Yuki because Kimi got a track limits violation himself. So, Yuki finishes P5. Good drive, Yuki. Good drive. My pleasure, John. Started first, cleaner all the way, no safety car, hard to overtake, not overly impressive, really. I I disagree, Dan, because I think you have to look at the context of the situation, where at the stage of the season we're at. I think it's impressive because Oscar has been on the worst run of form arguably any championship leader has ever had, right? That was a collected drive, a confident drive from Oscar. And it would have been quite easy for him to lose positions at the start of the race, just make a mistake, go in the gravel. He kept it clean. So, am I streaming quali? I am. Yes, I do just need to set up the stream for quali, but I will set up the stream and I will be here in a few hours' time for it. Are there really any speed difference in the cars? There are, yeah. Yeah, it's what you get in F1 is that cars have a different kind of... People may obviously make, like, the overall best car, but then you have cars that are, certain characteristics suit different tracks. So the McLaren in particular is very quick for the corners, the medium to high speed corners, and they're able to look after their tyres a lot better than everyone else. The Red Bull, as an example, is much better at the low downforce circuits, like we saw at Vegas, like we saw at Baku, like we saw at Monza, compared to the McLaren, where that's a bit more of their weakness. And that's what you kind of get throughout a season. Not every single track is the same. They have different characteristics that suit different performance traits. And that's what makes F1 exciting, really. Oscar was always good on this track, so not really shocked. It would be surprised if he bottled it. Well, I think given the context of where we are in the stage of the season, I think it was a confident drive and an impressive drive. If it was Oscar, who we'd seen at the start of the season, and he wasn't on the form that he was on, I think we would have gone, yeah, it's not like, well, not an impressive drive. It's still impressive, but it's not like, oh, the be all and end all, you know. But considering the context of where we are in the season and the form he's been on, I think that was good. And also, look, bodes well for qualifying, doesn't it? Bodes well for qualifying this afternoon, because it's super, super important track position here. And, of course, overall for the championship standings. So if Oscar wins, which looks like he very much well could do, if he gets pole position tomorrow and he wins, later on, and he gets pole position tomorrow and wins tomorrow, he could gain a further 7 points on his teammate. If Lando finishes P2, of course. That's a big if. And that would definitely take the championship to the last weekend of the season. Who do I reckon wins on Sunday? So I think, I'm not going to say who, but I think, from what we just saw in the sprint race, I think whoever leads into turn one, or whoever leads at the end of lap one, maybe not necessarily turn one, because you can still make a mistake, but I think whoever leads at the end of lap one wins the race. I really hope it's a bit more tumultuous than that, but I think this sort of circuit lends itself to that. We've just seen that in the sprint race. Clean air is king. Unless there is a safety car where someone gets the benefit of a safety car, unless there is something with this 2 mandatory pit stop, with the strategy, I mean, I don't kind of know what to expect for the race tomorrow in relation to strategy, with it being a 25-lap limit on tyres. If you're unaware, Pirelli have mandated that no single tyre can do more than 25 laps. Even under safety car VSC, that's the limit that they can do. Which means we are going to get, with it being a 57-lap race here, we're definitely going to get 2 pit stops. But it could just be that it's a Sprint-S type race again. I don't know. But I hope there is some sort of time management. There's some sort of elements to strategy, some undercuts and stuff. But, yeah. Qualifying starts in a few hours' time. I think it's like 3 hours' time, so... Oh, thank you, Minerva. Hope you're enjoying your time there. I'm a fan of who? The only driver I'm a fan of is Lewis Hamilton. I've said that. He's the only driver I actively keep an eye on, of where he is on the grid. But, yeah. It's not a great time to be a fan of Lewis Hamilton at the moment, is it? What is the penalty for going over 25 laps? Disqualification. DQ. Yeah, it is a no-no. If you do you can do 25 laps, you cannot go over 25 laps, yeah. So if you do 26 laps, you'll get DQ'd. That is what they're doing right now. So we can only hope for an exciting end to the World Drivers' Championship, yeah. I mean, I am actually pushing for Oscar here this weekend. I know I predicted Lando would I thought Lando would just dominate here this weekend, but I've been proven wrong. I did see on the Friday practice yesterday that Piastri just seemed to have something about him. This is a track he's gone well at before, but I was like, oh, okay. He has turned up, Oscar. And the car is in a good place for him. But I do hope Oscar actually goes and wins it tomorrow now, because I want this championship to go to the last race of the season. I want there to be some jeopardy. I want for us to have something to look forward to for Abu Dhabi. So, who am I going to watch after Lewis retires? I don't think I'll actively be a fan of anyone. To be fair, I'm more of a fan of the sport. As I said, I have drivers that I like, and that kind of I want to do well. But I think as a fan, I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever have a driver, because I was young. I was a lot younger when Lewis Hamilton came in the sport. I was in my teens, so don't know. Maybe you get a bit more attached to people and stuff like, and support people like more to an extent when you're younger, and then as you get older. But yeah, I'm more of a fan of the sport. I just want to see like decent racing. So, am I going to stream qualifying? Yeah, I am. Yeah. So look, I haven't set the stream up yet. But let me check what time it's on. I can't remember off the top of my head. So qualifying is on at 6 p.m. UK time. So you're talking, it's 2:45 UK time now, approaching 2:45. So you're talking just over 3 hours. So I will set the stream up, and I'll do it straight after I end this. Unfortunately, I haven't got it already set up so that it will send you straight there afterwards, like I have done with other streams. But I will set the stream up straight after this, once I've ended it, and you can go leave it open in your browser, hit your notification button so that you are notified half an hour before the stream goes live. That's a great way to ensure that you never miss a live stream. And yeah, but basically, just over 3 hours from now, whatever time zone you're in, that is when qualifying is starting. And you can always go to the F1 website and go to the calendar and the schedule, and it will already have it in your local time zone as to what time the session actually starts. I completely missed the interviews, to be honest, guys, there. So, easily the most boring sprint ever. Yeah, it's not a track, but this track is just doesn't lend itself to a sprint race. Doesn't have a sprint race next year, does it, Andy? Is that right? I don't think it has a sprint race next year. Thank God. So, you're going to head out and try and get some sleep before quali? Yeah, I need a good hearty meal. That's what I need. I need a good hearty meal. That sorted me right out. F1 has sorted me right out there. I feel really much better in myself now, guys. So thank you. It's all thanks to you. See, that's a cure to a hangover. If you've got a hangover, just live stream. Sorts you right out. What are the sprints? Jarvis, 5 gifted again. You do this every time, man. Thank you. What is the sprints for next year? I know Singapore is one. Yes, Singapore. I think Canada's got one. Let's see. We already discussed that, Viper. Lewis Hamilton is the only driver I actively support. Driver of the sprint race, according to me. That's a tough one. I mean, who do you put? I'm actually going to give it, I think, given the context of everything that went on this season, and given he has struggled, and he made a good overtake at the start of the race, and then left the door open and blocked him to allow his teammate through, I'm giving it to Yuki. I am. I'm giving that to Yuki. I think, yes, while we've just discussed about Oscar Piastri, where, like, great, did what he needed to do, and I think it was a really impressive drive from him, I think Yuki's was more impressive. However, I'm not impressed with his track limits violations, and he's very fortunate to get P5. But, considering the overall context of the season, that was a very good drive from Yuki. So, it's tough to pick a driver of the day for the sprint race because not a lot happened. But considering he had a great start, he didn't fall back, He got ahead of Fernando Alonso. He then held up Fernando Alonso, like cleverly positioning his car where he did to let Max through. And then he just focused on his race and he pulled away from Alonso. And yeah, it was a shame. Obviously, he got that track limits violation. But yeah, interesting to see how he gets on in qualifying. What does Lewis and Ferrari actually do now for qualifying in the race? Both setups didn't work. Fuck knows. Sorry, excuse my language. Charles dropped 4 places down to 13th. Like, I have no idea. Like, today? that was just a pure reaction there. Like, it's just, yeah. I mean, the thing is that Lewis may have been a lot slower because they may have fueled the car up. I don't know. But, yeah. I mean, I have no expectations for them. I literally have no expectations. Do you? Does anyone have expectations? I will put the Ferrari shirt. I haven't worn the Ferrari shirt on. I'll put the Ferrari shirt on later on for qualifying. But, yeah. It's wild. So, I still don't know why Charles lost so many positions either. I don't know if it's because he got out. He took an excursion to one of the gravel traps early on, and he ended up just getting swamped. Very easy to do here if you do that at the start of the race. But yeah. If Pirelli's putting a limit on tyres and they're saying their tyres are not up to standard. For this particular circuit, yeah. Yeah, they're basically saying that they can't do any more than that. So. Would I do sim racing and pre-season testing streams? Yes, so my plan is to do still video content and so forth throughout the season. I'm going to do live streams still, obviously, around F1. We've got a new set of regs coming up. I'm going to try and do a lot of research into the 2026 regs, and we can kind of do like our own lectures, shall we say, and we can just have a back and forth in relation to what news is coming out about the 26 regs, because I think there's going to be a lot that comes out in the off season about the new regs, because it has been spoken about, but there hasn't been so much intense focus on it because of this season and what's been going on in this season. But I think once this season ends, full focus on 26. There's going to be so many articles about it, interviews, and there may be like more concerns that are raised, and so we'll still keep going live and providing you with the video content. I want to get back into my sim racing. Because there won't be as much F1 on, so I'll be able to obviously get back into that. And then pre-season testing, I'm hoping I can do what I did last year. I'm hoping that the data is accessible for us, and I will take a few days off work, and we'll do, the pre-season testing live streams. That's my plan, anyway. So these days, Lewis and Charles are like, yeah, I will remember nothing from this. Just please, 25 be over. 100%, yeah. Russell likes having power steering working. You can tell. I mean, it does help. It does help. Have you ever driven a car without power steering? Oof. That's a workout. That is an absolute workout. Are you think they're putting an artificial limit on the length of a stint? I mean, yes, technically they are. Yep, they are. But I think it's clearly for safety reasons, because they don't want the tyre to... So the reason why they've done it is because last year they saw 100% degradation. So they saw the tyres just be absolutely shredded. So that's why they've put a limit on it this year. And that's why they did it a couple of years ago. But 18 laps was too... They realised in 2023 that 18 laps wasn't anywhere near long enough. Because what happened is that it just basically became 57 qualifying laps. Like, there was no tyre management. And anyone who says, oh, we just want to see drivers go 100% all the time, all this tyre management saving, all this bullshit. Sorry. I keep swearing. I need to stop. It's because they just don't understand that we'll get more boring races if they're going 100% of the time. So if they're going 100% and doing qualifying laps every single lap, every single race, you're not actually going to get good racing. You're not. You need tyre management. You need that strategy element for motor racing to be exciting. I've got a VRS wheel. I can't take it off because it's fixed on. But yeah, I've got VRS equipment. FRA would not have fined you. Yeah. Slip of the tongue. Now, I've got VRS pedals, VRS wheelbase. the 20 Newton meter one, and their VRS Pro wheel. So great equipment. And then next level sim racing rig and a ultra wide monitor. Do the stewards even have the attention span to keep track of the tyre lap count? Well, I mean, it's surely just having the data out and just checking this, isn't it? So George Russell risked it. They all risked it. Look, 25 laps. So they're all very close. So if I could replace any F1 track with another circuit in the matter FIA grade, what would you add? I would add back in, I think the FIA graded circuits, but I think, we've said this before, Malaysia, get Sepang back in there, get Istanbul back in there. So, do I even get time to jump on the sim anymore? Yeah, so not really. I haven't been able to, Mike. As I said, so there's been more focus on just doing the F1 content, mainly because it just fits well into like the time that I have, like as well. It's a good thing, but it's also kind of a bad thing for like sim racing to an extent. Like my day job, I've taken a step up in responsibility in my day job, so that's a lot more busier now. I find myself sometimes having to log on when I get home from the day job and get some final bits done. Obviously, little one as well. I have to, so I want to spend time with her, pick her up from childminder and that, and then what else was I going to say? And then also, like, you're tired. You find yourself, by the time you've had dinner and stuff, it's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock in the evening, 9 o'clock in the evening. I don't really have the energy to jump on and do a sim race. Whereas I can find the energy to do an F1 video for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you know? So Malaysia GP, beautiful country to visit. I've heard good things. You expect? I'm so expecting me to end up selling the risk and streaming from a desk. No, never. Never. No. No, this will always be here. This will always be here. And when I do, hopefully in the future, move to a larger property, I'll have a dedicated office space where I can have a desk and do all that. So, and still have the rig, because I still like love my gaming and stuff as well. So I get full utilization out of this. Do I think bringing back refueling will help? No. It would make it more difficult for us to follow. Just, yeah, the refueling era actually wasn't that good. So don't burn out. Results could be devastating. Yeah, no, I won't. I'm very careful with my time, Dan. Like I like my sleep. I like my rests. And I've said before, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who continues to subscribe to the stream. Let's just change scene. I've said before, look, I still have a full-time job. This isn't my full-time job, contrary to what people believe. It brings in a nice bit of pocket money for me, and it's not enough yet to support a family and earn more than what I'm earning, obviously, in my current day job. So I still have a full-time day job that is priority, and all I can ask for is that this channel continues to head in the right direction, and eventually this will get to a position where I can do this full time. So yeah, that's all I can ask for and continue to ask for, and I'm happy with. While obviously I can only split myself so many times throughout the day, you know, and your focus and time and attention. So refueling would just turn every race into an economy run. It would, Andy. Yeah, it's not as exciting as what people think. So yeah, it's that's where we're at, but I love doing this, guys, and we're heading in the right direction. So thank you for everyone who continues to subscribe and join. Dusko, switching Qatar or Abu Dhabi with Bahrain, in what sense? What, position-wise in the calendar? I would much rather go to Bahrain twice in the season, or 3 times. I'd actually prefer Bahrain to be on the calendar 3 times on the season than have Qatar and Abu Dhabi. That's just my personal opinion. So, I'm a quantity surveyor. So I work in construction. I deal with the budget of like construction projects. So I make sure basically the construction project I'm assigned to earns money. Bring the Bahrain outer loop back. Yes. Someone said about what do I think about the Project Motor Racing game and the complaints. I actually got sent a key for that, which I was quite surprised about. But it doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Ian Bell is notorious for, yeah, that, basically. So I'm not surprised, and it's just ridiculous that someone in this day and age can release a game that isn't a sim game, whatever. Doesn't matter what genre it is, sim racing, a RPG, an online multiplayer game. It's ridiculous that you can release a game in that state and charge the money that you charge for it and say it's a full game, a completed game, because it's quite evidently not. And those times have gone. Battlefield in particular, I love playing a bit of Battlefield in my spare time. And this year's Battlefield 6, it's just a completed product. Yes, it still has its issues, but it's a much more well-rounded and completed product on release day compared to the previous iterations where it got rightfully criticised. And that's all us gamers want. We just want to get value for our money. Simple as. Simple as. I still think the World Drivers' Championship is going to Lando unless he DNFs. I still think it's going to Lando, but it'd be great for this to go to the last race of the season. I need a full-time Sky Sports F1 to be flown all around the world. I'm not going to lie, reporting on F1 full-time wouldn't be too bad, would it? Wouldn't be too bad. As long as I still get to do the YouTube thing and I still get to display my own thoughts on here, because when you do work for broadcasting companies, that is an employer. So there is certain things you can and cannot say. That's the beauty of YouTube, is that you're not beholden to pleasing people. Thoughts on Max's chances? Low. I personally think Max will be out of the championship come the end of this weekend. I think he's going to be outside of that 25 points to Lando. Because I think Russell is going to mix it up there. Antonelli could as well if he sorts his act out. I don't know. I just think over the full race distance, I don't think that Red Bull has just got the performance required. So, what is the gap now? The gap at the moment, and then I'm going to go, guys, because I need to go. I'm just looking. So the gap right now is 25 points to Lando Norris. 25 points. He lost a point on Norris. And 22 points from Piastri to Norris. So, but there we go, guys. That is it. So thank you, everyone. I'd love to chat and stay more, but I need to go and pick up the missus and the little one, and also get a nice hearty meal in me. And I need to set up the stream. So we'll be back in a few hours' time, around 15 minutes before qualifying goes. We'll manifest it. Thank you, guys. Yeah. All you can do, all I can ask is for you guys to continue to hit that like and subscribe button. We hit over 67,000 subscribers today. Big, big thank you. And we'll be back for qualifying. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. And, of course, who's going to improve? Who's going to do worse? Can Oscar Piastri get pole position again after a great pole from first place to lights out victory in the sprint race? Third in a row for Oscar Piastri. And, well, can he win the sprint race and keep his championship hopes alive and take this to the last race of the season? We will see. In 2002, you followed Benson for a whole season while working with a truck and the engineering side of storage. I think I did 12 races and I was absolutely... Yeah, I wouldn't... A couple of races. I wouldn't like to go to every single race, but, you know, I like the comfort of my sim rig and reporting from here. But, yeah, thank you, guys. Have a lovely next few hours. Go enjoy whatever you're going to do, and we'll reconvene here at just before 6 p.m. UK time, or just under 3 hours time for qualifying. We'll see you then. Bye.